We are now a quarter of the way through the 2019 NFL season. It is week 5 here on the Say What You Like Sports podcast. And on this one, we want to kind of go through some of the things that have surprised us, some of the things that have disappointed us, and some of the things that we're going to be looking forward to going into the 2019 NFL season. Garnder Minshew, he's mustache or jockstrap king, apparently, according to Pro Football Reference.
Yeah, I just saw that because we're talking about surprises.
That's the kind of prep that we put in here.
Yeah. So we're talking about surprises, and he has to be up there for me. You know, they thought that they had Nick Foles and that was they were gonna ride. The Jacksonville Jaguars were, to get back to where they were a few years ago.
It was dependent upon Foles' magic.
Yeah, and so they were a season removed. They were in the AFC Championship. They lost to New England. They put all their eggs in the Blake Bortles basket, and that smashed, and it was a mess.
And
so
they went to hell in that same handbasket.
Yep. So you turn to Foles, and he gets hurt first game. And they go to this, 6th, 7th round rookie, Gardner Minshew out of Washington State. I mean, or Pac-12, that's what we watch, UCLA, USC here. So we've seen him. I mean, he could pass the ball, but I never really thought this is a guy.
He's going to do it on the pro level.
Yeah. And you turn around, and the guy through 4 games has got 900 yards, 7 TDs, only 1 interception.
Yeah.
And, I mean, being able to beat the teams that he's beaten, beating Tennessee, your own division, beating, Denver.
Their win. Every win in the NFL is a big win, especially when you're a backup quarterback. You're not even expected to win.
Because, and you figure when they went up against Kansas City and then they lose Foles, you think your season's done.
Right.
And here comes this guy who literally looks like the lost son of Uncle Rico from
Uncle
Napoleon
Rico, man. Have you seen all those videos?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're good, man.
They actually had the Uncle Rico there taking pictures with them.
Did you see that? Yeah, that was
awesome.
Cool.
And so he threw that ball over the mountains in the Rockies,
Yeah.
And his ability to kind of escape pressure. And I think what he is.
Foles is Napoleon.
Oh, he is, yeah.
And don't they look like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
He's kind of sunning him right now. And you kind of look at what Gardner Minshew can do. It's it's awesome to see because he's smart. He's not trying to throw a lot of picks. He's not taking a lot of sacks. He realized this team wins on defense.
Right.
And then, you watch that game and they're going back and forth. And I'm not saying he's putting up these, he's not Mahomes or anything. He's not but he's doing enough. And then when they needed him, he drove down the field. You watch that escape sack after sack. And he's not running with, like a lot of rookies, not looking downfield. He's looking downfield. He has the ball protected and he fires that to GJ Shark, I believe. And, they're 2-2 and they have to feel pretty confident that if they can continue to run the ball and he can make a couple plays, that division, they're all 2-2.
Fournette had a big game.
Yes. He was running. They ran. They must have had 40 minutes of time of possession, and they just kept the Denver Broncos off the field. And what that also did is it kept the Jacksonville Jaguars defense off the field, kept them fresh. Wore out the Denver Broncos defense.
Yeah. And for me, as far as surprises go, it's another team that was welcomed to the league in 1995, playing with the backup quarterback. I think Kyle Allen, man.
Oh, yeah, Carolina.
You know what? The guy, he's 2-0 now, right, as starter? And they're winless with Cam Newton in, his last 7 or 8 starts?
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
1-10, 1-9.
Right. So, that's got to tell you something. Because I do believe in the talent outside of the quarterback position in Carolina. I think they got a stout defense. McCaffrey, I think, is showing that he's leading the offense nowadays.
Yeah, it runs through him.
Yeah, it runs through him. And, you're looking at Kyle Allen being able to, like what you're saying, to do just enough. And I know that the Cam Newton thing, it's more due to injuries, but is this dude even going to bounce back? Because we're so used to him being hurt now.
Yeah, and when we talked about our picks, we were talking about where you put the Carolina Panthers, and it's it's not if he gets hurt, it's when he gets hurt and how long. And even in that week 2 loss on Thursday night to Tampa, and everyone thought, they're going to beat the Bucs. They just lost to the Rams. They're at home, short week. The Bucs come off a crushing loss to the Niners. All right, and you just watch Carolina just throw after throw. You just knew something was wrong with Cam Newton. He just could not get in rhythm. He could not focus. And the offensive line was an issue, but Kyle Allen looks like he's doing fine managing it, and they're smart with it.
Yeah.
And so again, it's interesting. That division is in a sense wide open because of the injury to Breeze. Who knows how long this magic streak will last for them.
Bridgewater.
Yeah. And, they're, 2-2, I believe. And, they're right there.
They're 2-2.
They're a game behind.
Yeah, exactly. Just one game behind after all that. And for me, like I said, hey, by the way, Have you seen Cam Newton's YouTube channel?
No.
So he's going in depth explaining his injury. And so he's smoking a cigar and he's having a glass of wine. And he said because he wants to be real, he wants to be relaxed, he wants to be one-on-one with the audience. And of course he's wearing a scarf, so he is very comfortable. But, you know, he did kind of talk about how he was hiding that foot injury from the Panthers training staff, not complaining about it, and that finally he's realizing that after seeing Kyle Allen win these games, that he just has to be 100% ready, and he's not going to return until he feels 100%.
Yeah, I mean, and that's smart because at this point, who knows if he returns to the Carolina Panthers?
Not if Kyle Allen keeps balling out right now. So let's switch gears. Let's talk about some of the disappointing things thus far in the season. You can pretty much tell in our picks, man. You're pretty high on a certain team.
Yeah. So it came down to two teams for me, and I'm just gonna go over one really quick. One is the Denver Broncos. They are like 0-4, and that's not great. And I'm shocked. And they said, I read this stat that all of the rookie coaches are winless through 4 weeks.
That's crazy.
Yes. Brian Flores, Kingsbury, Vic Fangio, rookie coaches. Like they weren't head coaches prior.
Yeah.
I forget another. There was another one, I think. But yeah, they're winless.
I wonder who it is now. No. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Play the Jeopardy. Hit the Jeopardy music. Who is it?
I forget.
Kingsbury.
It's Kingsbury.
Fangio.
Flores. And I think I'm missing one. I have to check, but I know there was one more.
It's not Jay Gruden.
No.
They're winless. The Bengals.
Zach Taylor. There you go. That's them.
All right.
There we go. So, I mean, you're looking at Denver, who's part of it. And I really came in thinking Denver could win 8 or 9 games. I thought the talent was there. I thought the scheme was there.
And I told you were completely out of your mind.
Yes. But I think that...
I was there for you, friend.
Thank you.
Don't forget.
But I'm not going to take that team as my most disappointing team because that's personal. I'm going to look at a team that everyone thought was going to be wow, and that's the Atlanta Falcons.
You're stealing my thunder, man.
Atlanta Falcons.
They've disappointed me week after week in my picks.
So, I mean, I'll let you get into the Atlanta Falcons right now. But, yeah, how do they go from, like, you thought when Breeze went down, these guys had a chance to win this division to, just only one win, and they could have easily lost that game to Philly.
Once Breeze goes down, the first thing I look at as far as making predictions and previews and things like that in my picks is what quarterback can I trust? Drew Brees is out of the picture, and I think automatically you go to Matt Ryan right now. We talked about Cam Newton and his injuries just a little bit earlier, and, I just think Matt Ryan is a Super Bowl quarterback, not a winning quarterback, but he's taken his team to the Super Bowl. He's been to an NFC championship game even before that. I mean, he's led some of the more explosive offenses in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
So naturally, my thinking is Atlanta's going to do something. They're going to make a little noise. And they just haven't. Julio Jones is the highest paid wide receiver now. And, he's not doing anything. I mean, he does make some plays, but they're just not winning games.
No.
And it just doesn't compute to me because they can move the ball. They are getting their yards. A lot of their defensive starters that were injured last season are playing.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. They're just disappointing.
And I think that's what the issue was. Everyone chalked up last season injuries because they lost to everybody on the defensive side of the ball. But right now, I just think that they're failing to find, the magic they had with Shanahan and even prior, I think, with Dirk Cutter. They went a few years ago when they went and played the Niners in the NFC Championship game. They've been there a few times, and yet, you look at Atlanta, and it's like you have the tools. You have Devontae Freeman, Julio Jones, Mohamed Sanu, Calvin Ridley. I mean, they're stacked. They are truly a stacked team. And then on defense, you look at McKinley and
is it Tack McKinley? Yeah.
And they have the linebacker. Keanu Neal went down though. I know.
Oh
that.
yeah, he's hurt.
But you look at the Vic Beasley, and then you're just wondering like what's happening, what's causing the self-destruction for them? Because man, they should be 3-1. And competing with the Saints for that division. And right now, they have to look at, like, this is their opportunity. If this doesn't work, do they have to blow it up? I mean, they just paid Julio Jones. You have Matt Ryan, so I don't know what you do. I mean, do you just make changes with the coaches?
I think you go down with the ship.
Yeah.
You have to at this point. I think Arthur Blank's checkbook has spoken for itself. And let's be honest, when you want to predict the future in the NFL, you look at the money trail. And they're not getting out of some of these contracts for a while. you're going to have to play this thing out for the next 2 years minimum.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unfortunately, I think they placed their bets on the wrong horses.
I think they became like the NFC South Lions, where I just think they may be the team that kind of is 8-8 based on talent and 8-8 based on just their coaching and wishes.
Yeah, can't disagree with that. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up with what we're looking forward to the most after being a quarter of the way through this season.
I'm looking forward to seeing, how the Eagles respond. I mean, it was do or die for them.
It was.
It really was. You can't go 1-3.
No.
That was going to be bad. So it's your only win coming against Washington. So now you kind of righted the ship. You're 2-2. You feel like, okay, Dallas lost on Sunday, so you're only a game behind them. You still have 2 games against them. So it'll be interesting when they get healthy and kind of their running game finally kind of looked like it took form.
Yeah, Jordan Howard started to play.
Yeah, and I think that's the key for them is if they can't get their running game started and they're relying on, Wentz, who just seems to, like you said, and I've watched it firsthand, it's like it's Ertz or bust. It really is Ertz or bust. It's his first read on everything. It's where he goes. Whatever Hurts' progression is, that's where he goes.
Yeah.
And so you want to, A, get him out of that, but B, you want to see them kind of truly round into shape and kind of see what they're going to be, because they're a team that can go 12-4 and win that division. Right now, they can go 8-8 because we just don't know with them. So it'll be interesting to see, and then also the arms race between, the Eagles, the Rams, and the Cowboys, and these 3 young arms, and who comes out of this year looking like the best of those 3.
Yeah, that's where I was going to shoot. I was just going to say the NFC in general. I think the AFC, even this early in the season, you can pretty much tell the contenders and the pretenders.
Kansas City at New England or New England at Kansas City.
Right. It's one or the other, and you know what? Baltimore might make some noise. Maybe if Cleveland gets it together, they might make some noise. And that's it, man. Nobody else is going to make serious noise. But in the NFC, it's wide open, man. I mean, in the NFC West, you got the Rams, you got the Niners, you got Seattle, all vying for the playoffs.
Yep.
Okay, that's 3 teams right there. There's only 6 spots in the first division. I think you got the NFC East, and you got the Cowboys, and you got the Eagles. There's already 5 out of your 6 spots right now, and we still got 2 more divisions. Somebody's got to come out in the South. I think that's going to be the one team. I think that's probably the Saints right now.
Yeah.
That's probably your best bet in the NFC.
Yeah.
And then you go north, and you see Detroit. I mean, they gave Kansas City a run for their money, and they've played good aside from that last fourth quarter in
they'd be
Arizona.
Undefeated if they could hold a lead against Arizona.
Right. And then you have Green Bay, who's looking good, but yet not really like just slaying it like they did in the past. But so for me, then you got the Bears, who have a defense, but what do they got on offense?
Yeah.
So even the North, it's like, who's going to come out of the North? Yeah. I'm starting to write off the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
But it's still early in the season. So to me, the NFC is the most interesting thing. And who knows, bigger surprises have happened, but maybe Kirk Cousins gets it going.
Yeah.
We don't know. I mean, maybe Daniel Jones is the answer. We don't know. We can't truly count those teams out yet. It's still too early.
Yeah, the Giants are a game behind too.
When you think about it, they're only a game behind.
It's still a long way to go, though.
So for me, I'm looking forward to the NFC, man. So let's go ahead, wrap it up, and get to some Week 5 picks. Let me pull out my pick sheet, man.
Yeah. We're not gonna recap Week 4, are we?
Week 4, I went 7-9, man.
And I went 8-8.
And we are now tied 39 wins apiece on the season. So we're neck and neck. It's a clean slate.
Yeah.
Week 5 going forward. Let's see how much distance I can put, man. I have the Thursday night game. We got the LA Rams at Seattle. I'm picking Seattle just because Seattle's at home. It's a short week. It's also a battle of 2 division rivals that know each other well, like often is the case on Thursdays. So I'm going to go Seattle, even though I know the road teams are having some more success this season.
I believe the road teams are undefeated on Thursday night. And so I'm going to go with the LA Rams. I know they made a horrible showing. A special thank you to the Bucs up there for making the Niners the only undefeated team in the NFC West and the division leaders. But I think the Rams are going to burn the tape. They're going to look at it like we beat ourselves for most of that game. we dug a hole we couldn't come out of. I think they're going to play Seahawks well. And I think that the Rams are just a better team overall, and they will flex and beat the Seahawks.
So for Sunday, we have Arizona at Cincinnati. Kind of tough to call, man, for me. Honestly, I kind of went back and forth. But in the end, I think Arizona's shown me just a little bit more. I'm going to go with Arizona.
I'm going with Cincinnati. And I feel for the same thing as a Cincinnati. I feel like of all the games I saw, remember, Cincinnati was a hair away from beating Seattle in Seattle. I mean, that feels like ages ago. Right. And they were tied with Buffalo.
Yeah.
Buffalo had to cover. So I feel like they're home. They're going to run the ball. I don't trust Arizona's defense. And I feel like if Arizona doesn't have the ball, I'm not really afraid of them. I think I think Cincinnati kind of runs the ball, holds it. I think we're going to kind of a boring game, but I think Cincinnati walks away with the win.
Then we got Buffalo at Tennessee. Another one where my eraser hit my sheet a few times. But ultimately, Buffalo's defense is for reals. We've seen what they did with New England on Sunday. I'm going to go Buffalo.
Man, this is such a hard game to pick. Yeah. It really honestly does depend on what kind of Tennessee team shows up.
That's exactly what it is.
Because Buffalo, if they had Josh Allen, which is a weird statement in and of itself, I probably feel more comfortable. But I'm still going to stick with Buffalo. I think their defense travels. I think they'll run the ball with Frank Gore, and they'll get it going.
Yeah. And then we have Chicago at Oakland. After what I seen Chicago do to the Minnesota offense, just give me Chicago, even on the road.
This is Khalil Mack revenge game. Yeah. You saw what he did at one Gruden.
Yeah.
That was like, the video game where you play the minor boss, the mid-level boss.
That was Goro, and now he's at Shang Tsung.
Exactly. Exactly how that goes. And he's going to wreak havoc on the Raiders. So, yeah, I got Chicago big.
Tampa Bay at New Orleans after the ass-kicking that my team got on Sunday Night Football on the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to go New Orleans. That defense is for real.
Yeah, I think Tampa Bay really kind of screwed themselves by losing the Giants a few weeks ago, and I think they come back to reality. I think New Orleans is it's so weird to think that New Orleans is a gritty team. You don't really think of them as like a real...
But they are.
They are a physical team, and I think they kind of continue this ride.
Minnesota at the New York Giants. Man, Daniel Jones, he's the new craze in New York, but I'm going to go Minnesota.
Yeah, the clock strikes 12 for Danny Dimes over there.
Yeah.
And I think Minnesota's running game and their defense, give the Giants fans a rude awakening.
New York Jets at Philadelphia. Give me Philadelphia at home because they're playing the Jets.
Yeah, I'm going to take Philly. It'd be interesting to see if their running game continues against the Giants defensive line. It's not so much that the Eagles will win because I have them winning too. It's like what type? Is it a struggle? Are they able to beat them comfortably? Right. It's a good game to watch. Baltimore
at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh showed me a little something. But I'm going to go with Baltimore to bounce back here.
Yeah, I think Baltimore, I feel like it's a division game. I think Baltimore kind of learned their lesson. They were humbled. I think they'll take it out on Pittsburgh.
We have my lock of the week here. New England at Washington. I mean, Washington is just a dumpster fire.
Is this the Washington Redskins or the Washington Generals? Is this some Globetrotter?
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. I mean... This is the easiest game. I mean,
could be the Washington Nationals.
Yeah, at this point, it's not going to matter. I expect New England. I think this game, you can call this game at the third quarter.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. We got Jacksonville at Carolina. We were talking about these teams earlier, the backup quarterbacks that are kind of taking their teams by storm in a way. But ultimately, give me Carolina because they're at home.
You know what? Give me Jacksonville. I really do. I think Minshew's just maybe a little bit better.
You're a big Napoleon Dynamite fan, aren't you?
Yeah, Uncle Rico all the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with that.
But yeah, that's a close, and that's going to be a game that's going to be fun because it's like they're almost mirror images of each other. Defense, running game, quarterbacks that really you just trust them not to make mistakes. And
these teams have often mirrored each other since they came into the league in '95. They both made their respective championship games in their second year. I thought that was cool, man. I mean, they did beat Dallas. That wasn't cool, but it's a good story. Now we have Atlanta at Houston. Give me Houston because I am done with Atlanta. For no other reason than I am done. There was nothing. I didn't have to look into this. I am not picking Atlanta.
Yeah, I put Houston too. I feel like, they're at home. They'll get their running game started. And I just think that, this is kind of a hard game because they both kind of had expectations coming in the last week and they both fell flat. I mean, they were both kind of down by a touchdown, down by 2 touchdowns, and you were waiting for them thinking, Atlanta's going to come back. And they never did. They never turned the corner on those teams. So, I think I'm going to give the edge to Houston.
Denver at the LA Chargers. Denver is another dumpster fire. Give me the LA Chargers. Even with Phillip Rivers being in, I'm sorry to say, but I think he's entering the twilight of his career, man.
Yeah, much like how you feel about Atlanta, I feel about Denver. I will not pick Denver for a long time. So I give me the Chargers. I think they'll run. You have, Chubb is gone. A lot of the older players in Denver, we don't know what's going to happen with them moving forward. Are they going to have to really rebuild this team?
Yeah. Green Bay at my Dallas Cowboys. I am going to pick Dallas. Dallas has been red hot at home the last couple of seasons. 7-1 last season in the regular season. Won the playoff game in Seattle there. I think a big part of why Dallas struggled on offense was being on the road and dealing with the noise in New Orleans. So I'm going to go Dallas to bounce back and get revenge on Aaron Rodgers.
Give me a second. I want to vent something because as a 49ers fan, I always heard this whole year, prove it to me. All I want to do is see it. So all I want to see, Dallas, is let me see your offense against a real defense. Let me see what that looks like. You beat the teams in front of you, but when you came up against a stiffer test and a tougher defense, they didn't look the same as they did the 3 previous weeks. So, and plus, Aaron Rodgers probably has the same winning percentage in Dallas as the Dallas quarterbacks at this point. So you know what? I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers to continue their streak. I think their defense will slow down the Dallas offense again. And I think that Green Bay, it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a close game. But in close games, give me Aaron Rodgers.
We'll see. Indianapolis at Kansas City.
Oh, yeah. KC keeps it rolling.
Yeah. Give me Mahomes. Monday night, the Cleveland Browns, red hot Cleveland Browns apparently, at your San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, man. I think that, I see the memes. When we were undefeated with 4 other teams, we were the joke. Now we're undefeated with 3 other teams. We're still the joke.
Off a bye.
Hey, you can't lose on a bye.
No, you can't.
There you go. We just sat back, let everybody else lose. So I think it's going to be an interesting game. We'll talk more about it on the Red and Blue Rivalry podcast.
That was great strategy by Kyle Shanahan and Lynch to have a bye week.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, that's great. How you think.
Yeah.
You got to think ahead.
That's great.
Let's have an early bye. This is when every other NFC team is going to lose.
Yeah.
This is when Green Bay and Dallas is going to lose.
Better go down. LA Rams too.
If the playoffs started today, they'd be the number 1 seed.
In the NFC.
Exactly.
They really would.
Okay. A lot of people probably were going to pick the Niners before the Browns beat the Ravens, and now everyone's back on the Browns track. You know what? Give me my defensive line. Give me Bosa and D Ford and Buckner and Armstead to terrorize that still suspect Browns offensive line. Give me hard linebackers to chase down and hunt Nick Chubb. And you know what? Our offense, I don't really fear the Browns defense outside of Myles Garrett. I think that we'll be able to run on their linebackers. We'll keep him at bay. You saw that even when the Browns played the Rams, they kept him protected for the most part. So I think I got this one a 27-20 game. Niners win, go to 4-0.
I know San Francisco is at home. I know San Francisco has a probably better pass rush right now. Probably has a better defense in total. I think San Francisco also has a stronger running game this season. And arguably, the quarterbacks aren't a big difference right now. But I tell you what, Baker Mayfield don't give a fuck about any of that. And that's why I am picking Cleveland, man. I am picking Cleveland to upset the San Francisco 49ers. Maybe put a little distance between our picks, man. So those are the picks for Week 5. We will be back. We will see if we had any better luck in Week 5 than we had in Week 4.
Let's get to over 500.
Yeah, let's see if we can get to above 500, man. So check back with us for the Week 6 podcast here on the Say What You Like Sports Podcast. Peace out, everybody.